Hi, I'm Keith, Mark's behind the camera, and this is part 2 of painting wildflowers in a vase.
So if you didn't see part 1, down in the description is a link to watch part 1 where Keith painted the background primarily. There's also a link down below for the materials Keith uses, which colors, the sminky paints, the butcher tray, the arches, watercolor paper, the little Crenell brushes. So if anytime you want to see what materials Keith uses and where you can purchase them, just follow that link. We make a small commission if you use our links. If not, feel free to just use it as a checklist to go purchase from your local art center. All right, Keith, what are we doing today?
Today we're going to do the vase and some of the stems in the vase. We're gonna pretty much finish up the vase so that I'll leave the wildflowers for next time. So I'm going to begin by, I've added a little more ultramarine blue to my paint tray. I've got a little bit of the indigo mixing in, and I'm also going to mix in just a tiny bit of the sepia. So to begin with, this is a clear jar that I'm going to be painting. There's going to be reflective areas. The surface of the water in the jar, the top surface will remain white, and then we're going to try to build the color around it. So below, and we're also going to want to pull up reflections. So I'm going to begin by, I'm going to hit some color. I'm going to put some color, hit some color. I'm going to put some color in the bottom of the vase. Now, as you can see, I did not wet the paper. The reason I'm not doing that is I want to maintain control over the color, over the paint. So what I'm doing is I'll put the paint down, and then I will grab my water and I'll start pulling it where I want it. So as you can see, I am going over the stems at the bottom of the vase. Reason being is I can certainly get the color, the green, over top of that, no problem. I'm also, I don't know if you can, yes you can. You can see that I've left a little bit of value, or a little bit of white at the bottom there. That's going to be basically my the base of the vase. That rhymed.
The vase base.
Yeah, and then I just want to indicate it with a little bit of line work there. So that kind of like that. Now, I don't know if you can see, I've left like a little bit of a white rim at the bottom there. But what I'm going to do is eventually I'll knock that down. I'll soften it up. But for right now, I want the line. So I want to be seen. I want it to be seen. So at this point, I'm coming around the other edge, and I want to kind of hold a reflection, or a little bit of a light source right here. So I'm going to put my color back here a little bit, and very gently I'm gonna just pull some of the color over to the edge so that it's much lighter than where I started here. And I love doing glass. It's you can get away with a lot, and yet it's absolutely gorgeous. The idea is, don't let it throw you. Part of the fun is trying to figure out how you're going to make your light, how the light's going to hit the jar. And the other part of it that's fun is that it's like working half dry, half wet, and you just have to kind of figure out where you're putting everything.
Speaking of which, where are you putting the beta fish?
Here, distraction. No beta fish for you.
No fish for you.
If you feel like you know, maybe hit it a little too hard, or you want to pull some color back, you can just grab a paper towel, square it up a little bit, and I just wanted to show you that. I kind of liked what I actually had.
Now, will the stems and things inside the vase, is your intention for the vase and the water to be pretty clear where you have hard defined lines, or is everything going to have kind of a haze and a little bit of a fog? Nope.
Actually, it's going to be fairly crisp. The fun part of, you know, doing something in a vase like this, a clear vase, is that the refraction, the reflection of the stems, you'll notice where the stems go in at the top of the water, and where they actually, once they're in the water, where they actually appear in the water of the vase. So you get that enlargement that you would get from you know, that magnifying effect from water. So again, remember, I'm leaving the surface of the water white. I kind of like what I got here. Am I done? No, but I want to
What's the purpose of leaving the top white?
It's defining my surface. Okay, it is going to define the surface. I could put a little color in there, but I'm going to leave it white. It's how it occurred. It's the reflection that occurred in the photo, so I'm going to leave it alone.
Okay.
I'll do what I want.
Oh, I'm just curious.
No, I'm just kidding.
He's getting defensive.
I know what I'm doing.
Teaching is not about answering questions.
Yes, it's...
Wait, what?
It's about me. It's all about me. Anyway, I'm leaving a little bit of a reflection up at the top of the jar. Now, there's no water up here, so I'm making my reflections just slightly sharper, just because I can.
You didn't fill the vase all the way up?
No. Alright, so again, I'm just bringing a little of that color across, and I accidentally got into my surface, so I'm going to quickly just dab that out. There. That was easy. Now he's keeping his paper towel close at hand.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't just like lift your leg and use your pants to dry the paper.
Yeah. People that have watched the videos will understand that when the brush disappears under the table, I'm actually wiping the brush off some of the excess water on my pant leg. And it's a bad habit that I got into 30 odd years ago, and thank God nothing stains so far. But since I'm usually wearing Levi's, I don't think it's an issue. All right.
Levi's is not a sponsor of Keith McGuire, and
but it could be. It could be.
One day.
If Levi will send 2 pairs of pants. Anyway, so now I'm coming up under the rim of the rim of the jar. I'm just gonna create a little bit of shadow there. I'm leaving some highlights. Okay. And now I'm just gonna go in. You can't really see the back of the jar too much because of the vegetation in the jar itself. But what I am gonna do is just I'm gonna pull some of that color around, just so when the vegetation goes in, if there's any, any of the glass showing, that it'll be painted. It'll be, I have to go in there later and try to work my way around a bunch of little leaves. All right, so where am I now? All right. At this point, I have applied kind of like my first base coat. And I like it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of water. That's very lightly. I'm applying a little bit of water. Not super wet, just enough to kind of dampen it. And I'm going to go back in. And now I'm using a little bit more indigo, or I'm sorry, sepia with the ultramarine blue to help kind of create. I want to pick up some of the grays that are on the surface, or on the surface of the table. Way to speak English. All right, so, and what that does is it just helps make the glass pop a little bit more. So again, I'm coming back in on this side. I'm going to grab a little of that. I'm just going to pull a little more over. All right. Sweet. And I do leave just a little bit of a white rim, like along the base here, along the edges. And as you can see, I'll then take this color, this paint, this line I made, and just kind of softly blend it away. So now I've got like a little bit of a hard edge right there, like a little ring. And again, I'm setting it up. I'm going to eventually put a little color over top of it so that it doesn't look like, you know, like there's a white outline around it. I'm trying to get the depth of the glass itself. Very quickly, at this point, I do have to let it dry. So can we pause a second, and I'll dry it, and then we'll go back in and we'll add the stems, and we'll be almost done with this part then. Hi, I'm back. Through the power of time manipulation, the paint is dry, and now we're gonna go ahead and put in the stems that are, you know, inside the vase itself. So I am going to use a little bit of my May green and my chrome green. I don't want it too bright or too pretty. God, no. I'm not about bright or pretty.
I don't think I've ever seen green chrome.
Yeah. I don't know why it's called chrome green, honestly. It is what it is. Anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint.
I have no time for your frivolous questions.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
I'm working. I'm working here. All right. So 1, 2, 3.
Now, is it important to keep track of how many stems you have?
Well, I think in something like this, I don't think it matters that much. I'm just counting because I don't know what else to say. Thank you. Or I just count when as I work, no matter what. All right, so I'm going to apply a little water to each of these. I'm just dropping the water into the paint itself. And what I'm doing is trying to push the paint to the edges to get a little hard edge. So I'm just going to keep going. Oh, this must be a big one.
Now, is there any rhyme or reason to how much larger you should make the stuff in the water, or how much you should skew it? Like, the bigger the vase, the more offset it'll be, or the smaller, the less?
I'll be honest with you. I think that varies. You're right. With the vase, the amount of water displaced, the angle I think there's any number of factors. So if, you know, I feel that, you know, if you're doing it live, you know, you got the thing in front of you, I don't think there's any set, you know, set rules, yeah, hard or fast. So I wouldn't, you know, look at what look at what you're doing. Now I'm working, like I said, I worked from a photograph, so for me, it's very easy. It's there, it's done for me, you know, so yes, it's that much bigger, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, I love when this, you know, as this occurs. I'm just going to go ahead now and I'm going to paint in the top surface where the things are going into the water now. And honestly, you know, I'm not that worried about detail. You know, it's a bunch of you know, stems in a vase here. So they, you know, as they get to the hole there, they're starting to all cram together, so it's not that big a deal. So I have gone ahead, I've applied those, and while that is drying, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. When it gets almost dry, I'll probably add a little more color to them. Now, as we come up to the lip or the neck of the jar, it's got some distortion to it. So that's what I'm going to add, is not all of this is going to, I want to leave some lights so that some of the light reflections going around this thing. So anyway, so at this point, I'm going to let this stuff dry. In the meantime, during the break, I was kind of looking at my picture, and I've decided that this light surface area is a little bit boring. So I think I'm going to punch it up. I'm going to take some color and make that back panel or that board or whatever. I'm going to give it a zing, actually. I'm going to give it some color. I just feel that it'll help the painting to have a little bit of contrast, because right now there ain't a whole lot of it. So I think also it'll help the jar pop out a little bit more. So I'm just kind of going around my jar right now. Yeah, I like that. And I don't want it to be perfect. I'm going to do a little dragging so that some of maybe the white remains. Yeah, cool. I'm going to add a little indigo. Now by doing this, I'm probably going to have to go in, add a little more value in my jar, but that'll be easy enough to do. All right. Sticks seem to be coming along fine. So I'm just going to hurry up and get the rest of this. How's our time? Battery-wise, I guess.
Oh, fine.
Okay, good.
We haven't even hit the halfway point since the last pause. So.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not getting you in trouble.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I know.
I'll get you.
But this was a little extra that I hadn't planned on doing, but
I think it was a good call.
Yeah, I think it gives it it'll give it a little more character. So at this point, I can't do too much more with this other than to let that dry. Meanwhile, my stems and seeds are coming out, sorry, old Old habits. Are coming along fine. All I'm going to do is probably add just maybe a little more color. Maybe just a tiny bit of shadow along one side just to give it a little more 3-4 dimensionality kind of thing. All right. Did he say 4? All right, good. And
before you start this painting, go buy some potpourri.
Yeah.
It's like smell-o-vision.
Where do you get that?
Potpourri?
Yeah, Michael's. Your favorite art store. Your last of the art stores. Okay. So, that looks good. Now I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to add a little more brown. And almost. All right. Come on, you little bugger. I might hit this with another coat of ultramarine blue to kind of brighten it up again. Or blue it up a little more. Blue it up. Hey, we're going to blue it up. Anyway, there we go. All right. And then one last thing is there's a little bit of a reflection. And I'm not going to use green. I'm going to use a little bit of blue. For the reflection of these things actually going into the water. You can actually see it on the surface. So I think that's about it. All right.
What's going on in that little jar?
There is. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of this color and see how I've pulled it in. So the white is no longer white. All right. So at this point, we're going to stop. This is we're going to call this the end of part 2, and hopefully I can finish up the flowers in one more part, or Mr. Hicks will be coming after me. So anything else?
So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 2. Hit that little notification bell. I always forget to say that. Give the video a like. Leave a comment if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. And be sure to check the links in the description below for all the materials Keith uses and where you can purchase them.
Sweet.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.